Hello and welcome. To the final Storytellers stream. I am so not used to this and I am so tired. It has been fun though. It's a lot of speaking. So today I'll be playing my own game, Heart Agency, which was my very first demo for Yowie Jam in... Well, I do not... I'm quite certain that I do not say that right, but you'll never get me to change it. What was I saying? Right, in 2021, before we even released the in-between, and I've been slowly chipping away at upgrading it in the background on my Patreon. So thanks to Patreon, we've been able to add a few more CGs. We've been able to get some more sprites, and day 1 of 2 has been rewritten, upgraded, and yet there's still more to go. So there's still so much that's happening and changing with this game as I go along. But I wanted to show you today just what we've got so far in our edits. And yeah, so a little bit about the game. Adrian Hart is a genius composer, also a secret one. Not a soul, save for his sister and her husband, know the identity of the mysterious composer behind one of the world's most beloved pop princesses. Unfortunately for him, his anonymity is about to work against him when said sister asks him to assist at their family's talent agency, Heart Agency. The world's leading talent agency, home to some of the most elite popular talent, now with a new manager. Whoops! Adrian must now navigate keeping his identity secret while leading a new life alongside his famous charges. With a model, an actor, and an idol, he's got his work cut out for him. Join Adrian in this BL visual novel as he gets to know his new charges and may even fall in love. So we have 3 love interests: Hilo, Ash, and Elias. This is a fun one for me as well because my friends all designed someone. My partner designed Sterling, the manager and brother-in-law, and the 2 devs from 2.5 Studios designed Ash and Hilo, and then Elias copied Ash because they're twins, which is super exciting to me because I love getting to make things with my friends so much. It makes everything so much more important to me and fun. We do have something new today as well for Heart Agency, and that is we got a new trailer. So that's very excited. So I'm going to play that right now and hope that it works. I think that did. That's cool. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. Hasn't had a trailer before. That was made by the incredible Foxtrot Studios, who also made our um, Moonflower trailer, and has a game of her own released. So you should definitely check out Foxdrift, because she's made a really cool game about assassins called Garden of Safe. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that, but yeah. So she's got that out, which I think you should check out because it looks really cool. I haven't had the chance to play it yet, but I probably will at some point on the channel. So let's get started with Heart Agency. I didn't update things. Whoopsies. We're not playing Heart Start again, we're playing Heart Agency. Whee! Immediately in loading, you can tell that there's something a little bit different, and we've got new music. So we're working with Mark Dermagala, who's also moved over to The In-Between. So we've got a completely custom soundtrack now, which is super exciting because I got the other one originally through Creative Commons, but they were licensed. So every time someone plays anything, they get heavily content ID'd. I'm also in the process of getting a new UI, which is going to add things like gallery. There's a lot of work on it being done in the background. Eventually, I'll start working on day 2 of it as well to upgrade all that and further updates to day 1. There's a lot going on. First, I need to get more work done through The In-Between and get the Moonflower DLC written and programmed. Heart Agency is it's going just very, very slowly. It will be our next Kickstarter though, so once everything else is once Moonflower really is complete with its DLC, that'll be the last CC from it, unfortunately. But that will leave room for Heart Agency again. For your faith and understanding, for your kindness and your tears, for the patient and demanding, staying with me through these years. You who filled my life with meaning, you who've known me since the start, you to whom I'm always grateful from the bottom of my heart. Now that, hang on, let me go back to that for a second. So this is a poem that was written by our lyricist for lyricist Sky that we've worked with for this and The In-Between, because we've got 2 songs that have lyrics to them for the In-Between, and we've also got one for Heart Agency. Now I've been having so much problems with my recording space and my lungs lately that I haven't been able to actually record them. But these lyrics are something that I've actually adapted and then written some more myself, to fit with the lyrics of From the Heart, which is meant to be written by Adrian for his big sister. So this is a little sneak peek. So that second verse is actually our chorus. Eventually, I'll be able to show a oh, my mouse is going crazy over there. Eventually I'll be able to show a preview of what this actually sounds like, but that's exciting and I can't wait to do that. I want to do more original songs so badly. Body doesn't cooperate anymore. Far away from the overcrowded stands, the cheers and the tears, a young man sighs. Forever chasing the brilliance of that song. Forever expected to surpass it and repeat it. Adrian held the sheet music above his head. If he squinted hard enough, he could make out the semblance of a song. Not a good song, but a song nonetheless. This sucks. Again. Adrian crumpled the paper in his hands, tossing the newly formed ball into the growing pile on the floor. He turned over on his side, the slightly old couch creaking underneath his weight. He let out a groan and... He let out a groan as he felt his back begin to cramp up. Damn. Been lying on the couch for too damn long. A towering shadow blocked Adrian's view as he moved to sit up. A large hand reached out to him and Adrian let it hang there. It's way too early in the day to be dealing with this. Maybe if I don't move, he'll go away. Like a T-Rex. But there was no such luck. The man's stance was unwavering, hands still outstretched for Adrian to take. Want a coffee? Adrian locked hands, locked eyes with the familiar gentle giant. The floral shirt, more garish than usual, brought a small smile to the younger male's face. But just as quickly as it had gotten there, the smile was wiped when Adrian saw the knowing look in the teal-haired man's eyes. Adrian raised one of his brows. An offer of coffee couldn't have come without a price. What's the catch? No catch, kiddo. The older man, Sterling Hart, Adrian's brother-in-law, put a hand on the young musician's shoulder and pushed him over slightly, much to the boy's dismay. Adrian grunted and slid over to make room for the muscular man to take a seat. Why is it that there's always a mess on the floor when I come to visit? Because you never call when you're going to come over. You just barge in. Barge in. Sterling repeated the words with air quotes, rolling his eyes as he did so. You make it sound so boorish. I wonder why. Sterling waved Adrian's grumbling away with a swift motion of his hand. Adrian yawned. So what brings you here? We like to check up on you once in a while to make sure you're not holed up in here doing this. Sterling pointed to Adrian and drew a circle over the crumpled papers on the floor. Hey, it's an organized mess, alright, don't judge me. Sterling put his hands up in front of him and smiled warmly at his brother-in-law. No judgment here, only tough love. He landed a playful but very hard punch into Adrian's shoulder. The boy reached up to rub his new wound with a glare. I think I'm all I think I'm all stuffed. That's a weird I think I'm all stuffed on the tough love for the day. Thank you very much. Oh, I don't like that. I do not believe that was a line that I wrote. What is that? Sterling chuckled. What are you working on? Oh. For some reason, that got Hades Town in my head. And it's actually true. What are you working on? I'm working on a song. It isn't finished yet. Nothing much yet, really. Not going well, I take it? You could say that. Oh man, I would love to cover Hades Town, but most of them require more than one person. I love Hades Town. It's meant to be a main event single for some big festival. Adrian aside. I'm just not feeling it. The brief is vague at best. Sounds like you need a change of pace. There was a glint in Sterling's eyes that Adrian recognized right away. He was going to ask the male to do something he definitely didn't want to do. Luckily, Adrian had already prepared his no. Stern, but not ungrateful. Might have an idea. Star. Adrian groaned through the older man's nickname. He knew where this was going. Sterling chuckled. Alright, sourpuss, hear me out first. Adrian's nose wrinkled, but he didn't offer any further argument. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? Oh, I don't know, because you're an antisocial grump? Hey, no... Sterling raised an eyebrow, challenging him to finish his sentence. This dynamic is pretty much just me and my friends. Me, who hates everything, and them, who are tired of it. A thought occurred to Adrian in that moment. He could argue against the accusation, but he also couldn't remember the last time he actually socialized. Fine. Okay, I guess I see your point. I just don't really enjoy being around people. I know. But what if we change that? What are you planning, Star? Out with it already. Adrian folded his arms and stared at his brother-in-law expectantly. Sterling glanced at him cautiously, and the ominous glint still present in his coy smile. We're in a bit of a bind at the moment. B and I were talking, and we thought that maybe... No. What do you mean, no? I haven't even told you what it is yet. No. What was that? Okay, that's something I need to investigate. Something weird just happened to the text box. This is all still very... Everything's still very much in development. There's a lot of things that don't work as they should, and will be investigated and upgraded and fixed, and everything you see will probably change completely by the time you see it again. But I think it's just a fun little way to show people what we're actually working on, seeing as most of what we do has to happen. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to, but ideally happens behind closed doors. We don't show what we're not ready to show, because impressions mean a lot, and if we show something that isn't fully ready, it could give the wrong impression of the game, or be represented the wrong way. So it's all a very, very big balancing act of what we can show and what we can't, but that leads to a lot of silence on the progression front publicly. So I think this is just a fun little way for me to show people what we're actually doing, and that we are actually still working on these things. I get asked a lot, is this still coming out? It's like, yeah, there's just nothing that I can actually show you about it yet. So here is me showing. Adrian resisted the urge to stand up and walk away from the mail. Those two words could only mean one thing: heart agency. The agency was founded by Robert and Serena Hart, Adrian and Brianna's parents. It had since grown into a globally recognized talent agency representing the world's top talent. You know how I feel about the agency, Star. I do, and I also know that that's exactly why we need you. Adrian pinched the bridge of his nose as Sterling reached into his pocket for his phone with a small smirk. Don't you dare call B. I'm just replying to a work text. Relax. Uh-huh. Sure you are. Sterling disregarded Adrian's words, shooting off messages in rapid succession. A loud ring reverberated through Adrian's small apartment. Damn it. Wait, that's mine. Shit. Gonna answer that, champ? Adrian shuffled over to his desk, grabbing his phone from its charger. Adrian shot a look at Sterling, who turned in feigned ignorance. Who in turn feigned ignorance. Don't look at me like that. I didn't do it. I'm the innocent one here. Innocent my ass. You cannot hang up on B. Adrian sighed, answering his sister's call. Oh, someone finally decided to answer. And here I thought you were ignoring me. So most of this, there's not much from the original demo that is actually still exactly the same. But this is one of the things that I thought was really cool of adding in Brianna's sprite as like a video call. I'd like to do more with this kind of thing. I really like the idea of the phone system. I need to work out exactly kind of what I really want to do with it. I'm thinking things like maybe like incorporating some kind of calendar and a little messaging system kind of thing. Not like with a messaging system, not something like a not chat simi, just kind of like little extra interactions or like previews of past interactions that he might have had. But yeah, I liked this. Before, like for the in between, we had just the side sprite for whoever was talking, but I think that this was a really cool idea to me, having like the character actually in the phone. And this is actually the first time we've seen Brianna as well, because her sprite, none of the girls were in the original demo. So I'm really excited to finally get to show her. Like she is, they look so much alike. Like you can tell that they are brother and sister, and I love them so much. He could hear the pout in her voice. Pretty sure I didn't put this here. My phone was probably dead. Sterling winked at him from the couch. Oh yeah, I put that on charge while you were taking your little notation nap. Yeah, the art is absolutely gorgeous. I've wanted to work with 69 since I saw him on another game. So I was super excited that he agreed to do this, because look, they're just so beautiful. And we might have we might have some new merch items coming soon for an event that I'm doing in March. We have some new prints drawn by Nee. So that's super exciting. They are gorgeous. I only need one left. I've got one left. So my patrons will be getting a little look-see at those soon. Was that Star I just heard? You didn't know he was here? How could I? I'm not even in the country at the moment. Right, she was at a conference overseas. Forgot about that. Hi, babe! Adrian winced, switching the phone to speaker. Adrian leaned back into the couch and crossed his arms over his chest. It wasn't that he hated his sister. It was actually the complete opposite. He had adored her so much that he knew any favor she asked of him, Adrian would comply. No matter how badly he hadn't wanted to step foot into his sister's life. No matter how badly he hadn't wanted to step foot into the life his sister and her husband had created for themselves. This timing. There's no way this is a coincidence. Are you taking care of yourself, Adrian? Last time I was at your apartment, there was music sheets all over the place. Looked like you hadn't gotten up for days. You need to move around, meet people, and socialize. You can't write music all day, no matter how much you enjoy it. I know. His answer was a mumble. He had heard this argument from both his sister and her husband multiple times before. But Adrian made no effort to change it. He had been the most happiest in his solitude. The only company he had needed was his music. I won't lecture you all day, but remember, I'm your big sis, so it's kind of my job. She's always like this. Yeah, no. Such a grump. She giggled. The joy obvious in her voice even over the phone. Adrian rolled his eyes and... lightly kicked at Sterling, who had also begun to laugh at him. Yeah. That makes twice today he's been called that. Jeez, didn't answer to be ganged up on. What's with this timing anyway? Sterling shows up to pitch an idea, then you call? It's complete coincidence, I promise. But if Star's already there, then my timing's perfect. Uncanny. As if he wasn't texting her. Alright. Out with it. What do you want? He could hear the small expression of excitement as she got what she had wanted. Adrian knew he would regret hearing her out, but she was right about family being there for each other. Well, my dear Star has taken on 3 of the biggest talents at the agency, but can't seem to meet all of their schedules. Oh, that's an easy fix. Drop one. Just drop one. You're funny, Adrian. I wasn't joking. No, of course not. It's a valid option, but not viable for the agency. As I said, they are the 3 biggest stars on our roster. And bring in the most money. Okay, and... well, Star and I have a solution. We need someone we can trust. Someone who isn't going to be intimidated or starstruck. Someone who's competent and willing to stand their ground against the whims of these boys. We've just lost another assistant. So we were hoping you might back Sterling up and help out to manage these boys for us. They're important to the agency and they really are good boys. They're just pain in the ass. You could put it like that, I suppose. And just how many assistants have they chased away? Sterling scratched his head awkwardly. 5? 5? It's not that they're awful people or anything, they're just very particular. They all trust Star immensely. He just can't be in 3 places at once. Ugh. He already regretted asking. And he hadn't even been asked yet. Why is this my life? And what exactly do you want me to do? Did I not just finish saying I'm not a people person, Star? Sterling smiled sympathetically. You did, and we know, but we wouldn't ask unless we knew you could do it. And I think it would be a nice change of pace for you. Get out of your own head and this apartment, spend some time experiencing someone else's life. You might even find that it helps with your music. Oh, who does that belong to? Brianna? That might be a Brianna line. Sometimes when I copy the script over from the script to Renplay, some of the tags get lost. Right. We do have recording artists after all. It's not exactly an answer. He heard his sister hesitate. This was going to be a big ask, even for her, and he dreaded what she had to say next. Okay, what happened to her lines? I have the urge to just go into the code and fix it right now. We want you to act as a sort of personal assistant, so to speak. Yes, he writes both. Oh man. Why? What is wrong with me? What is... No, I can't. Distraction. Personal assistant? What does that even entail? Dealing with the stars when Sterling simply can't. Huh. Never in a million years. There's no way I'm babysitting a bunch of spoiled celebrities. Hey, Anna. Why me? Just hire someone. I'm sure people would jump at the opportunity to work at Heart Agency. Oh, of course, there's loads of people that want to get close to them. The issue is exactly that. Look at that grumpy face. He is so gorgeous. We need someone who isn't a fan. They're getting tired of starstruck attendance. Tired of being worshipped? As if. You know I hate the limelight, Bea. Do you remember what happened the last time I was around a bunch of big shots? I understand that, but I'm in a tough spot right now, Adrian, and I wouldn't ask if I didn't need to. Adrian looked over at Sterling, who jutted his lower lip into a small pout. The younger male groaned, kicking his legs into the air. Please, baby brother. Ugh, have mercy. Fine, I'll do it, just don't call me that. In fact, don't call me anything other than Adrian from now on until the end of this whole fiasco. I don't want anyone to know I'm your songwriter. That's my only condition, or else I'm not doing it. I don't see any issues with that at all. Do you, Bea? None whatsoever. Seems we have a deal. Brianna and Sterling began to gush together, Brianna squealing and Sterling laughing. It was a show that made Adrian smile despite his apprehension about his future role in the agency. Alright, now can you get out of my house? Adrian stood up and motioned to the door, earning another laugh from the pair. Not until we get this place cleaned up. Adrian slammed his hand against his cheek. This was gonna be a long day. Looking into the mirror, Adrian had let out a sigh. The events of the day weighed heavily upon his mind. He wanted nothing more than to crawl into his bed and stay there, but that wasn't really an option at the moment. He splashed water onto his face, shaking his hair to remove the droplets that had sprayed behind his bangs. That's a very foreign term to me. When he looked at his reflection, he had seen a spark of the boy he had used to be, shadowing his parents at countless media events for the agency. That boy had loathed the time he spent with the agency. Almost every celebrity he had come in contact with was full of themselves. They had some kind of superiority complex that stretched even beyond the big screen. They simply thought they were better than the talent agents that repped them. He could say now, as an older man, Adrian had met a lot of wonderfully talented people at Heart Agency that he respected a lot, Sterling included. The thought of having to work with talents that didn't care for the core of the values of the people who had been supplying them with the opportunity for their lavish lifestyles didn't sit well with him. He could hear their grating voices now, demanding he grab them coffee with low-fat milk in the morning, telling him he was doing a terrible job when he had gone out of his way for them, and of course, them bashing the company. Was it all worth it in the end? For his sister? Yes. Also, there is nothing wrong with low-fat milk. Just putting that out there. Drink whatever is good for you. For his sister? Yes. Letting out an angry sigh, Adrian slammed his fist against the porcelain sink top. If he could tell her no without feeling bad about it, he could probably live an almost peaceful life. But at the end of the day, Adrian would never trade his sister or her husband for the world. Being an assistant to some celebrities for a few weeks was the least he could do for the pair after all they had done for him, including making sure he was taking care of himself. The irony about Adrian is that he doesn't realize that his own behavior is very reminiscent of the drama that he complains about the stars having, and I'm excited for him to go on that journey of self-discovery. Because as difficult as he is, he doesn't seem to actually ping in his mind that maybe I'm making trouble for people. So, what were a few ridiculous requests and rude remarks for the sake of his family's business and his sister's sanity? It could be fun. Maybe? Probably not, but that just meant his sister and Sterling owed him a favor later on. That'd make it worth it all. that'd make it all worth it in the end. Adrian reached towards the mirror where his phone had been carefully propped up, playing a lofi beat to help calm his nerves. He was hoping the tune would at least make him a little drowsy. He needed to go to bed at a normal human hour to make his appointment at the agency first thing in the morning. Time to try something else. With a few swipes of his phone, Adrian defaulted to something he knew would put him to sleep. The relaxing sound of rain. He rummaged around his cabinetry looking for the next part of his relaxation plan. A lavender-scented bath salt given to him by Brianna. He was running uncomfortably low, but if stress was overwhelming at any point in time, it was now. He began to draw a bath. He mentally listed off all he'd have to do for the night before going to bed. It wouldn't be a long list of tasks, but he anticipated a lot of twisting and turning that night. It was never easy to wake up when an important task he couldn't avoid was laid out in front of him. By far, our most popular CG. The obnoxiously loud alarm on Adrian's phone rang throughout the empty apartment. The man, just barely awoken from the sound, rolled over and slammed his hand across the top of the screen as if it was a bell he could simply ding to make all the noise stop. When nothing had happened, he tried again. This time, more aware as he fumbled with the smartphone and slid his index finger across the screen to silence the alarm. Ugh, I don't want to get up. The covers are so warm. Maybe I'll stay home. Yeah. Just as that thought had crossed his mind, Adrian's phone began to go off again. This time a call. Glancing at it, the curiosity getting the better of him, Adrian let out another, more guttural groan. This time there was no familiar name flashing across the screen. Instead, there was a bright golden star flashing across the front. Sterling. Adrian tossed the sheets off after a few moments. There was no use answering the phone now. It was meant simply as a reminder that today Adrian needed to get his arse in gear. That was what he was going to do. Eventually. The phone blinked once, twice, and the notification displayed for a new voicemail. Rise and shine, sunshine. Hot tip for your new job. Wear pants. See you soon. Adrian stared at the phone, his disgruntled expression deepening. Wear pants? What kind of advice is that? Was he trying to be funny? He sighed dramatically. Pants are important for jobs. Well, I guess it depends on the job. Emrys wholeheartedly disagrees. He's going to pick it. Say no to pants. He sighed dramatically. Sterling had a way of confusing and distracting someone in a way that whatever was troubling them was completely forgotten about. Well, he was awake now in any case. His legs hung off the side of the bed for a few moments before Adrian began his descent down the ladder. When his feet touched the cold wooden floor, he shivered. Whose idea was it to get a bed with a ladder to it? Looking around his apartment, Adrian noted the loft bed, the compact the modern compact computer desk, and the small blue ottoman, all things he thought were good ideas at the time. A space-saving interior designed to make way for his instruments. But he'd been here for a while now, and the novelty of the compact decor had long since worn off. Maybe Star is right. Maybe I do need a change. With that thought lingering in his mind, he looked around his apartment. He wasn't always this reclusive. He used to go to the agency to write, to play. Slowly, the weight of the industry drove him further and further into his own shell. Designing his entire environment to never have to leave the apartment. But those were thoughts that would have to wait until after he completed his new job. Adrian took a sluggish step forward. He dragged his feet a few inches forward, one by one, until he finally made it to his closet. What am I supposed to wear? Other than pants. Adrian rustled through his clothing, tossing various shirts onto the chair behind him. What exactly did one wear to the first job as a personal assistant? Jeans are too casual. No, wait, I want to be casual. I think. I don't know. Picking out a suitable outfit was the hardest part of any day for Adrian. An outfit could influence his entire creative mood. That would certainly make an impression. An outfit could influence his entire creative mood. As ridiculous as he found it, he put a lot of thought into what he wore. Luckily for the male, though, there wasn't much variation in his wardrobe. When Adrian liked something, he bought it in every colour imaginable. Since he really liked anything, it left a small pool of clothes for him to choose from. He picked out a comfortable purple shirt and threw his favourite brown plaid jacket over it. Works for me. So, something that I'm thinking about doing when we launch a Kickstarter for this is actually having a wardrobe option where you can actually change what he's wearing. That would be, I think, a stretch goal though, as it would add a lot to the art itself, because if you can customize what he's wearing, we then have to account for that in CGs. But one of my top comments on Hard Agency is that people hate what he's wearing. And it makes me laugh every time I see it. I mean, I like it, obviously, I picked it, but it cracks me up every time I get a comment complaining about how ugly his outfit is. So maybe that's something we'll do. Give people the yes. Yep, we'll also have the option to make custom characters in the Kickstarter for this one. It's still a it's still a long way off because we need to get the in-between out first, but yeah, we'll definitely have custom characters. There's a lot of options that we can do for that in this. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, having some kind of maybe wardrobe with a few select outfits, maybe people can actually back for an outfit. I think that would be fun. With that settled, it left only a few things left on Adrian's to-do list. Next up was food. I'll make Sterling buy me lunch for dragging me into this. He rarely ever bought groceries anymore. His fridge was stocked mainly because of Sterling and Brianna. But their donations could only hold out for so long. Happy with his own decision, Adrian walked to the center of the loft and took a seat on the swinging chair that was attached to the ceiling. Frankly, he thought there was no logic or even useful place for the thing, but as time passed, the supposed Art Deco piece added by his sister grew on Adrian. Eventually all the backgrounds will shift as the location moves, so he'll get a new apartment eventually, but this chair I think is something that I'm going to end up keeping because I think it's just cool. It was supposed to be a casual and chic sense of fun to the apartment. Adrian had managed to grab a harmonica on his way to the living room. There was no way he was leaving the apartment without playing some sort of music. That usually helped him relax and clear his mind. Though, as if on cue, the peaceful plans he had were shattered by a piercing noise through the room. Of course. Letting out a large sigh, ooh, not a deep sigh, a large sigh, Adrian gripped the ropes of the swing tightly. He shot a glare at the door. Was it really time to start his day? Sorry, there's no one home. Adrian called out to the door. It could only be one person. He could think of 10 things he wanted to do more than work at the agency, and all of them involved playing this harmonica on the swing before starting his day. Hey, I'm being courteous and waiting for you to open the door. You know I have a key. Adrian groaned and waved his hand in the air as if Sterling could see it. There was no space for negative feelings on his swing. Good vibe only swing. It'd be bad luck to stay there and grumble about it. So instead, he headed to where all of his jumbled emotions were sorted out. The couch. He collapsed onto the leather sofa, awaiting the smiling face of his new temporary boss. Adrian heard the click of the lock as Sterling let himself into the apartment. Hey. Adrian flinched when something warm crashed against his head. He snapped his head to the... Nope. Nope. Definitely meant left. He's down there. He's definitely looking to the left. Whoopsie. I can't tell direction. Seeing Sterling holding a cup of coffee with a jovial grin, his eyes travelled downwards. Adrian realised that a wrapped muffin was tossed his way. That made him laugh. The first real joy he had this morning. Where's my thanks? You broke into my apartment and threw a muffin at my head. Why would I thank you? Is that what happened? I remember feeding you. Geez, a little gratitude would be nice. Despite Sterling's words, he was smiling. There was hardly ever so much as a frown on that. There was hardly ever so much as a furrow on the man's brow. Adrian took the warm coffee from his grasp. Thank you. Now will you leave? Not getting cold feet, are you? I'm not scared. I just don't want to go. Sounds like something a scared person would say. Adrian sipped on the coffee to avoid saying the playful insult that sat idly on his tongue. Jokes aside, tough guy, are you ready to hang out? Are you ready to head out? We can eat in my car. What do you think? I think you're going to have a great time. It's not my first day of school, Star. I don't need a pep talk. Then prove it to me and get a move on. Lose that sluggish bad boy attitude you got going on. That won't help anyone. You don't have to want to be there, but at least pretend like you care about helping your sister and I out. I do care, and you know that. But I don't want to put up with any bullshit. Good, that's why we need you. The very attitude he's complaining about is the exact attitude he's giving Sterling, and he has no idea. Now stop creating bullshit and let's go. You aren't going to be able to judge them until you at least meet them. How different could they possibly be? And I can tell what you're thinking there, and you need to stop. Don't make it a bigger drama for yourself than it needs to be. You're only stressing yourself out. Right, Sterling the mind reader. Adrian snorted as Sterling winked in response. He is good. Always knows what to say. Fine. Let's go before I change my mind. Adrian shut his eyes as he listened to the pop beat playing through the speakers in Sterling's car. Nothing more than noise, really, but to Adrian, he could hear every single beat and instrument in the mix. His mind discerning the tune, dissecting the tune, rearranging it, shifting its pitch, its mood. Very rarely could he hear a song and not try and put his own spin on it. He felt the most comfortable engulfed in the musical world. No person, place, or thing could bother him. To Adrian, the sound of music would become more like colour, dancing around his mind. When the music died down abruptly, and all that was left was the rumbling of the engine, Adrian's reverie was shattered. He opened one eye, looking out of the front windshield. That's a bit redundant, windshield window, to see where he had ended up. He was hoping it was anywhere but the intended destination, though there was no such luck. They were at the agency. Sterling hopped out of the car. Sterling tapped on top of the car's dashboard with a hefty hand, laughing as he did so, a devious delight in his grin. The joy that cars brought to the older man was... I really need to... One of the things that I want to do here is actually get a car interior background. I've used... There's still a little bit of like common assets and things in here that's scattered through because I didn't have the budget or the opportunity to get custom things. I'd really like to get a kind of front on, like through the windshield look, so that I can put the sprites there and it looks like they're in the car together. The joy that cars brought the older man was actually something Adrian thought was funny. Despite Sterling not having any kids of his own, he acted like a total father. It was endearing. Adrian smiled playfully at his brother-in-law, who had been fussing with the AC vents. Not even a speck of dust could be left in them when the man was finished. Adrian leaned forward with a smirk on his face. Does the car call you Daddy? Maybe. The two men burst out laughing. Working with Sterling wouldn't be so terrible. It could even be, dare he say, fun. Probably not. The loud clamouring of people could be heard quite clearly, and when Adrian looked to his right, he could understand why. Signs, t-shirts, Hilo fans, if the chance was anything to go by. Adrian raised an eyebrow, unsure whether he wanted to laugh or fade away from the awkwardness. He's one of our highest earning stars. Sterling motioned to a sign with a man's face on it. Hilo, short black hair, large blue headphones around his neck, a sultry smile. Adrian rolled his eyes at the image. He knew damn well that, despite the two never having met, that Hilo was an entirely different guy on the screen than he was in person. It was part of the trade. The guy those fans were worshipping wasn't even real. Well, good for him. Good for us. It's stars like him that make the agency so profitable and well known. Your sister and I can keep doing what we're doing because of the influx. And why I get to be a personal assistant. Gee, thanks, Hilo. You seem like a swell guy. Adrian heard Sterling chuckle under his breath as he opened his car door. We gonna get out of the car. Adrian opened the car door himself and stepped out. The cool air hitting his cheeks. The two fixed themselves. Sterling straightening the hem of his shirt. Maybe his cuffs. Yeah, there's no hem there. He's tucked in. Sterling straightening the cuffs of his shirt. And Adrian ruffling his own hair. When that was done, Sterling led the way to the entrance of the building. Well, he tried to, at least. The entrance was blocked by even more fans who were probably awaiting the entrance of their favorite idol. Their collective groans were enough to tell Adrian that he and Sterling weren't who the Frenzies group were looking for. Already, it's too early for this. Not for them. Sterling motioned to the group with a grin. Some of these fans stay overnight. Some of them are even repeat visitors. They come once or twice a week. I even know them by name. What a waste of their time. To meet their idol? I don't think so. Sterling placed a hand on his lips and motioned to the gate. At least it looked like that was what he was aiming for. It was hard to tell beyond the crowd. For all Adrian knew, it could have been a magical genie giving out wishes on the agency doorstep. Watch this. Adrian raised a brow, but looked on curiously as Sterling called out to the crowd. Most of the fans had turned away, the chatter dying down as they laid their eyes on the manager of Hilo, Sterling himself. Good morning, guys. How are we doing today? The crowd erupted into cheers and screams in response to Sterling's question. Adrian winced and covered his ears. Loud music was one thing. People screaming in his ears? He didn't see the appeal. Sterling! Mr. S, how's Hilo? People began to shout out greetings to the man whose smile never left his face, even as he began to say hello to fans individually. He's doing great. I'll be sure to tell him you guys asked. One of the fans had caught sight of Adrian and waved their arms in the air, calling out to him. You must be the new guy. Adrian raised his brow at Sterling, who smiled nervously. Had to make an official announcement on our social media, but I kept it very vague, didn't even post your name. Let the fans notice any changes. Anyway, I'm sure they'll love you. I don't really care how they feel about me. Then there's no problem. Sterling clapped his hands together. Is he going to be paired with Hilo? At the mention of the superstar's name, loud clamoring spread throughout the group. Some members shouting that Adrian had better take care of their idol, or else. Adrian thought it all absurd and wore a sour face as he thought of a retort that wouldn't make the agency look bad. But Adrian already had... But Sterling was already on it and placed his hands in front of him. I want no harassment of my employees, understood? Otherwise, we'll make you wait in the public parking lot, and we all know Hilo doesn't park his car there. The teal-haired man chided the group, like a class full of young children, but they had been quick to obey. Loud and boisterous, sure, but the group wasn't particularly rowdy. At least there was that positive. Sterling shot Adrian a smug and confident grin, obviously proud of himself for being able to control his space. a space that would also become Adrian's for the next few months. He wanted to tell Sterling not to pair him with Hilo, but he was sure speaking it into existence would make it real, and that the popular headache, and that was a popular headache he wasn't ready for just yet. The two had begun to walk forward as the crowd had dispersed from the door, security working to make sure that there was a safe path through. Once inside the building, Sterling opened his arms as if to exclaim, "Home sweet home." The smile on the man's face told a story of comfort. Adrian, however, wore a different expression. Apprehension, the walls closing in on him. He shook his head, hair hitting the sides of his face. Actually, being inside of the agency reminded him of his childhood. His parents had worked. In the end, what did it matter when they weren't even there to enjoy what they created? Over here we have the central offices. It's the closest to the bottom floor because it can get noisy outside with the fans, and because business people can be very impatient when waiting for an elevator. Trust me. Huh? Adrian snapped his head to the left, following Sterling's gaze to the beige leather sofa. No? What? There's a lot that needs updating to go with the backgrounds, because when this was originally written, there was different kinds of... It was more stock images that we've since been replacing. And even all these, as I said, will replace as something that I haven't noted. That was a good beta feedback that I got. And that has inspired some future changes. Is that this building is temporary. So, part of their, as a little, little sneak peek for what's to come in Heart Agency, this, as I said, most of this will change as they move location, and the idea behind that is that this building is a temporary one, as they're redoing their main building. So there's still a lot to update and change and to actually write to the proper backgrounds. Games are a never-ending beast. There's always something that you can do better, always something to fix, to elevate. Adrian snapped his head to the left, following Sterling's gaze to the beige leather sofa. They must be standing in the lounge where people waited to be called into the office. To be honest, Adrian hadn't even realized that the two had taken any steps forward at all, let alone walked across the hall to the central offices. Adrian craned his neck behind him. Although craning his neck behind him, Adrian noticed the walk wasn't far off, and he hadn't lost his thoughts for too long. You might be sent here to deal with some paperwork, but we can handle which office you'll need to go to specifically when the time arises. Sterling turned on his heels, ending the very quick tour of the bottom floor. Next up was a trip to the elevators, where the pair had gone a few floors up. Guess what we have here, Adrian? The cafeteria. Adrian looked around the empty halls. Aside from the sound of the elevators around him, it was completely quiet. The lack of sound was actually a bit unsettling. Adrian couldn't wait to leave the sterile halls. No. There is catering on each floor with the designated eating area. You don't have to worry about that. Up here is where you'll see the recording studios. We've got quite a few rooms dedicated to it. Oh, now the silence makes sense. Yep. All the rooms are soundproof for that amazing high quality audio. You making a pitch or something? Of course. Always sell your business. Rule number 1. I'm not getting paid to advertise. That costs extra. We can come to an agreement, I'm sure. But anyway, let's peek inside one of the rooms. Something else that I will be thinking about doing is when we have things up like these blank poster things here, I'm actually thinking that these could be something that I can offer in a Kickstarter or some other kind of funding for other developers or anyone who has something to advertise themselves to be able to put on the agency walls. So I think that would be kind of fun to be able to bring other people's content through a little bit as well. This went on for who knows how long. Sterling showed Adrian around the entire building, thrusting him in front of both young and old staff members who praised him for his ability to be hired at the agency. Probably praise in order not to scare him away like the other assistants. The pair had seen a multitude of offices, recording studios, rehearsal rooms, even a gym. Now they were standing in what Sterling had called the agency lounge, though it seemed like the pair had travelled through at least 4 of these rooms. How many lounges are in this place? Well, we have a lot of staff, so lots of places to take a break. Sounds good, right? As long as you don't forget you're getting paid to work, not loaf around. Of course. A loud squeak of rubber on tiles made the men turn their heads to the entrance of the room. Standing there, with hair slightly out of place and a small sweat bead on their forehead, was a woman that Adrian was sure he'd never seen before. She let out a huff of air and clutched her clipboard tightly to her chest. "Sterling, sir." "Why, hello." Though as Sterling began to speak, the woman prattled on frantically, now waving her free hand wildly. "I can't find them." "Whoa, calm down. I'm sorry. I know I'm not really allowed to be in here, but I was talking on the phone to another client, and then when I turned around, poof, gone." "Oh. We have to go, we need to find them." Sterling couldn't get a word in edgewise as the woman, she's so cute. I love her so much. Look, she's got a little kitty. I love this character design. Sterling couldn't get a word in edgewise as the woman kept speaking over him to the point where Adrian had wondered if she was beginning to get hysterical. "Listen, we can..." The woman clamped her hand down on his arm tightly and began to literally drag the older man away from Adrian. "Huh? What the..." "I'll be back, Adrian." Adrian began to laugh to himself. Losing something wasn't too funny, but seeing a grown man the size of Sterling get dragged off by this young woman definitely was. He hadn't noticed Sterling get so flustered before, trying his hardest to get out of the woman's grasp to calm her down. Whatever she lost must be really important. You've ever seen the TV show Lucifer? Ella the what is she? The pathologist or the forensic? Yeah, the forensic scientist. Ella. That's who is one of like the big inspirations behind Eleanor. I wanted to have that kind of just like endless, friendly, like bounding energy that is very confronting at first, but you just can't help but like her. Now, Adrian had some time to waste until he could convene with Sterling about what his duties would actually be. He walked... Yeah, I adore her. He walked further into the lounge, collapsing onto one of the couches. He chose the seat nearest to the woven orange and pink blanket. It wasn't cold, but it did look warm and inviting. He wondered if it belonged to someone. Looking around the room, he noticed how nicely decorated the place was. There were chairs set up by the open windows. This lounge felt different from the numerous others he had been dragged through. He imagined it'd be a place to have a meal and watch movies on his phone, or even write songs that he could play on the guitar that sat comfortably a few feet away. Heart Agency was a beautiful place, and frankly it intimidated him. I almost don't want to leave. Almost. Adrian's eyes landed on the guitar once more. He was a sucker for an unattended instrument. Guitars weren't his favourite of instruments, but he had a hard time ignoring anything musical. I kind of want to play it, but should I really be touching something that isn't mine? Play the guitar, or I don't play the guitar. What should we do? Play the guitar. It's an agency lounge. I don't see why I can't play the guitar. Adrian stood up and headed to the guitar. He picked it up gingerly. This would have made a really beautiful CG as well, of Adrian actually playing the guitar. Particularly surprising to him, the instrument was familiar. He knew this guitar. It was one of the prized possessions of the previous lead talent manager, safely displayed in his large office. Adrian had never been allowed to touch it as a child visiting the agency. I wonder why it's here. Adrian reached out towards the instrument, gently lifting it from its stand. Flipping it over, and sure enough, a signature from the famed guitarist's session. Adrian couldn't help but smile. Something he was forbidden from touching as a child was just sitting here and no one could stop him. His fingers playing the chords he knew so well. A song that was as much part of his soul as it was his sister's. From the Heart. It was a song he had written for his sister during a particularly dark time in her life. It was a huge hit with the public, though no one could ever figure out who was the true author of it. Adrian preferred it that way. Completely forgetting where he was for a moment, Adrian continued to strum, humming aloud as he did so. The sound of footsteps, low and slow, made their way to Adrian's ears. Shit. Guitar still in hand, Adrian glanced towards the source of the sound. From the corner of his eye, Adrian caught a glimpse of a man. He was tall, his shadow casting onto the floor beside him as he walked down the steps. Carefully, one by one, the man walked, wincing whenever he had caused one of the metal steps to creak. That's a bit creepy. I wonder what he's up to. Adrian straightened himself up, craning his neck to get a better look at the man who was now clutching his hood over his eyes. It was a poor attempt at hiding himself, as Adrian could tell who the man was right away. Hilo, the man from the posters outside. What's he doing? Whatever. None of my business. Weirdo. Returning his thoughts back to the instrument still in his grasp, Adrian barely registered the piercing stare directed at him from the staircase landing. It wasn't until the sound of a disapproving click reached him did he look back at the pop star. Right. Okay then. Hilo screwed up his nose and finished descending the stairs. And who are you supposed to be? Whatever, doesn't matter. Adrian felt a nerve lightly twitch in his eyebrow as his response was cut off. Ash is in day 2. I haven't updated day 2 yet. And it's not part of this build. I was gonna add it, but I fell asleep. It's rude to touch other people's things, you know. His words almost sounding like a challenge. Adrian gently sat the guitar down in its stand once more. A pained smake file. Yep. That's totally what it says. A pained fake smile gracing his face. I already hate this guy. Not that he's exactly wrong. I was just looking, it's a nice unit. My pride and joy. It's yours? Not a bad player though. I've never heard that version before though. You some kind of musician? Huh? Acoustic? Adrian shook his head, but didn't elaborate further. Hilo shook his head, but didn't elaborate further. He simply made his way to the lounge in the center of the room without another word. Awkward. I think Hilo's gonna be the first one to clue in who Adrian is, because he loves music so much that Adrian's not gonna be able to hide from him. Although I think all of them will work it out pretty easily. Unsure what else to do, Adrian awkwardly took a seat on the other end of the lounge. Hilo didn't pay him much attention, seemingly deciding to just ignore the man's existence, flicking through the channels on what Adrian could only describe as a home theater. The other man's comment about the version still on his mind. Adrian straightened himself up and turned his attention to the television. There was no other way to dissipate the awkwardness of the encounter. So quickly it had begun, and so quickly had Hilo shut it down. He was a peculiar man. Or maybe Adrian was just a little intimidated. He refused to believe it was the second option. Ooh, that was loud. That spooked me. Spooked me a little. A woman's shrill voice rang out of the television speakers, growing as Hilo raised the volume. Adrian had recognized her as Gail Frost of the Good Morning show. All the world's popular and rising star had made a home on that stage at least once in their careers. There wasn't anything of substance to come out of the interviews held with Gail. She discussed rumors that she knew the stars would never answer, but that the audience would be on the edge of their seats waiting for. Instead, all Gail was really able to get out of her guests was half-hearted advertisements about upcoming movies, television shows, world tours, and the like. It was safe to say that Adrian hadn't much cared for the show, but hey, if it eased the tension in the room, he'd take it. Good morning! It's not New Year's yet, but there's a firecracker sitting next to me. That's very cringe. Gail motioned to the blonde-haired man sitting beside her. He wore his hair in a low pulled back bun, a style choice that Adrian thought looked quite nice. I've got a man bun. Despite the man's perfectly placid smile, Adrian got the vibes that the celebrity was bored. Perhaps it was the dull look in his striking silver eyes when the camera zoomed in. Or the way his hands were idly placed on his lap, still like a statue. Everything about this man seemed perfectly presented and expertly controlled. This is Elias Lowe. You may have seen him in those spicy trailers for Harlequin Harm, the new thriller movie taking the internet by storm. With puppet masters, detectives, and serial killers, what more could the viewers want? Gail looked at the audience as she spoke, and Adrian couldn't help but roll his eyes at her attempt to bait their applause. She was so over-the-top dramatic with her inflection. Who could honestly be into watching something like this? The audience began to truly roar when Elias opened his mouth to thank Gail for having him on the show. It's an honor to be here, Gail. Yeah, sure it is. After we talked to your brother last week, I just knew we needed to talk to you as well. He had a lot of amazing things to say about you. As he should. The audience laughed at that response, but the man next to Adrian grunted. For a second, Adrian had forgotten that Healy was even in the same room as him. Maybe he thinks Elias isn't funny? Or he agrees that this show is totally lame. Turning slightly, Adrian took note of the way Hilo's face had scrunched up, completely different from the expression he wore before turning on the television. That guy. But Hilo's voice had trailed off and he placed his chin in his hands. Leaning forward as if to hear Gail more clearly. What's it like being able to work for the biggest agency in the world with your brother? I feel so blessed to be able to work at Heart Agency. I've been given so many amazing opportunities. As he talked, Adrian lowered his eyes at the screen. Is this one of the guys I'll be working with? Elias seemed like a good talker, but there was something amiss in the man's hollow smile. Adrian couldn't quite put a finger on it. Adrian hadn't known how long Elias had been talking before Gail finished up the interview, but he was sure it couldn't be for long. Elias's responses were short and to the point, no room for deviating from his script. He told Gail what he wanted her to know and avoided what he didn't want her to talk about. Hilo had looked visibly upset by the end of the interview. Adrian opened his mouth to say something, but a familiar cry cut him off. Both sets of eyes shot towards the door, where the sound of rapid footsteps could be heard. Adrian! Adrian barely had time to stand up as the woman from earlier had nearly tackled him. Oh, great. Abandoned? You run? Run, run, run. Sterling had been by the woman's side, approaching the pair of men with a large grin. Whatever he had been dragged off to find earlier must have been in one piece. Sterling told me all about you. All? He glanced at Sterling, who reassuringly shook his head no. Not everything, but what the woman needed to know about Adrian's job at least. If you're as hardworking as he says you are, it'll be so much fun to work with you. We'll make a great team. She prattled on, barely catching her breath. Hilo, who had been sitting by Adrian just a moment ago, was now long gone, disappearing so silently and suddenly Adrian was almost impressed. Sterling gave a knowing look at the entryway, but didn't bother to interrupt the woman in the middle of her tirade. When the woman had pulled Adrian in for a hug, he let out a surprised grunt, and she pulled away with wide eyes. Ah, you must be so confused about who I am. I'm just out here throwing myself at you. My name is Eleanor Cho. I work with Sterling, obviously, and you soon. I'm our lead content producer here at Heart Agency. It's so nice to meet you. I think... Adrian forced a polite smile for the sake of being kind, and for Sterling, but he already knew he was going to avoid Eleanor when he could. She was already giving him a headache. He hadn't drunk enough coffee for this, and she was much too bright. Suddenly, Eleanor let out a discordant cry. Her arms flew up above her in an exaggerated manner. Ah, where did he sneak off to? He was here a second ago. Who? Hilo? Adrian motioned to the entryway with his head. Ah, so he was on the lookout for Eleanor, explains the shadiness. Well, at least he got to make his escape. I'm not so lucky. Uh-huh. It's his turn to feature in our web show, but he's impossible to pin down. The girl dramatically puffing air through her fringe. You have a web show? We have a web show, actually. Sterling placed an arm over the girl's shoulder, and she nodded back at him excitedly. She does all the work, getting the scoops, interviewing the stars, editing the content together. So what do you do then? Sounds like Eleanor is doing everything. Hey, I'll have you know my job is very important. For a minute, the man in charge looked flustered, earning a giggle from both Eleanor and Adrian. Though, Eleanor was quick to jump in once she had realized what he was doing. Yes, he's the one who okays my videos before they're published. I pretty much approve them all. Eleanor knows our audience and what they want to see. All the while upholding the ideals and values of Heart Agency. She placed her hands on her hips and looked towards the ceiling as if she was a superhero. Jeez, sounds like they rehearsed this. Eleanor's disappointment from losing Hilo had been washed away quite easily, and Adrian wondered if there was anything that could possibly get this girl's mood down. What am I supposed to do now? Follow Hilo on another goose chase? A wide smile spread across Sterling's face. Oh no, he had an idea. You know, Adrian's new here. You know how much our audience loves meeting the new kids. Fuck. Ooh, yes. I want to hear all about you. Well, that's not happening. Adrian shot a glare at Sterling, his grin only deepening. And he seems to be getting along with Hilo already. Ugh. You've got to tell me. Tell you what? About meeting Hilo, duh. Right. He's our viewer's favorite, but as you can clearly see, he's a slippery one. Eleanor reached out and clamped her hands tightly around Adrian's arms before he too could make a hasty escape. Eleanor knows the way around the agency just as well as I do. In fact, she knows a... In fact, he knows a lot of insider information that could help for a new worker. Oh no. Eleanor? Adrian could tell you all about his conversation with Hilo. You both win. Win? Seems like a loss to me. Wait. Is Adrian canonically sexy? Or is it just how he's drawn? Of course he's canonically sexy. Elena clapped her hands together excitedly, and Adrian knew that the matter was settled. For the next few hours, he'd be dragged around the agency. Again. Well, I'm off to finish some more work. I leave Adrian in your very capable hands, Eleanor. Of course, it's going to be so much fun. I'm sure. I'll give you a ride home when you're all done, kid. That was Sterling's way of dumping Adrian on his new, energetic co-worker. I'll have to thank Sterling later. The older man walked away shortly after, and Adrian had no choice but to follow Eleanor. Eleanor had an insider tip to say about every little thing in the agency. The paintings on the 5th floor were all cheaply made copies. The real ones were in the lobby, where most of the people spent their time. The rugs in the hallway were vacuumed twice daily, and each stapler in the building had different colored staples. She even showed him some as proof. She was a little bundle of plenty of knowledge. It was actually really impressive and proved that Eleanor always had her ears open when walking around the agency. As Adrian had, or rather, Sterling had promised, Adrian had told Eleanor about Hilo's behavior during the Elias Lowe interview they had watched together. Ah, Hilo watched Elias's interview today? Yeah. Although I can't really say I know who he is. He said he and his brother are both part of Heart Agency. Elias talked about Ash. Only if Ash is his brother. He is. They're twins, actually. Twins. Oh, you sound so enthused. She giggled at her own taunting before continuing her explanation. Ash and Elias Lowe. They are resident twins. Elias is getting a lot of roles lately. This new... Literally. His new movie is by far his biggest, though. So is Ash an actor too, then? Oh no, never. Ash does modeling sometimes. When you can find him. When they can find him. The feeling of impending doom washed over Adrian. He got the feeling he'd be playing a lot of hide-and-seek in the future. Healy's behavior isn't very surprising. Doesn't seem to like Ash very much. Huh? So Healy was disgruntled over the mention of Ash earlier and not Elias? That's certainly interesting. Really? Why? Eleanor simply shrugged. Do you think either of them would tell... Do you think either of them would tell the one in charge of the social media content? No, I guess not. I guess even celebrities have their fights. Anyhow, it's not something that really reflects well in the agency and none of my business, so I don't push Hilo for that information. Makes sense. Believe it or not, I care a lot about the star's privacy, but I need to be pushy if I want to get content. Still have a job to do. Those words reassured Adrian that Eleanor was someone who meant well. There seem to be a lot of people like that in the agency. Working here probably won't be so bad. I have a feeling I'm going to regret that thought. The pair returned to the lobby on the ground floor, having completed another tour of the agency. Is something on your mind? Adrian contemplated. Did he really want to draw out this experience any longer? Question. Answer! She giggled as Adrian raised a brow at her. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. What were you going to say? Just something you said earlier. That you weren't allowed in that lounge? Oh, that one is reserved for the stars. Staff from other departments aren't really supposed to be in there. That building is known as the Homestead. It's where the talent apartments are. That particular lounge is a common area for them. Explains a few things. I see. Sterling failed to mention that bit when he left me there. Oh. Totally my bad. I just really needed to find them. Find them? You mentioned that when you first turned up, that you needed help to find something? Elena covered her face with her hands, a small whimper escaping. You okay? I'm fine, thanks. To answer your question though, we had a visitor from another studio. A record producer from Exiled. And he brought his kids and... don't look at me like that, they just got away from me. So you lost a producer's kids? Kids? They're even wrigglier than Hilo. They really like Sterling though, so I had no choice but to call in reinforcements. He'd make a great dad, for real. A sadness welled up in Adrian. Yeah, he really would. Elena clapped her hands together, changing her tone completely, startling Adrian. Anyway, I think that's about it for our tour, Adrian. It's finally over. Thank you for the tour. Ah, of course, Adrian. You're super nice. It's going to be so much fun working with you. Likewise. Adrian had no real problem with the energetic girl, but he had felt like his social tank was on empty just listening to her boundless energy. Have a great evening, Adrian. See you tomorrow. The two parted ways, Eleanor returning to work, Adrian wandering out to the courtyard garden that led into the building. Tomorrow, he might need an energy drink. Adrian on the Red Bull? Heavy footsteps behind him alerted him to the presence of someone approaching. Looking up, he saw the hulking figure of Sterling beaming down at him. Have fun? Not the word I'd use. She's okay. Loud. You get used to it. Why don't we call this a wrap on orientation day? I'll give you a lift home and let you decompress for a real work day tomorrow. Yeah, home sounds good. And that is the end of our reconfigured day 1. It is super cool to see things as they change as well, like from going from like the concept to the outline to the script to the original demo, then do it all again, and there's still so much to go. There's so much I want to change in this, as I get the way my creative process works is very much write one thing and then it inspires another thing. So I don't necessarily always know where I'm going when I start out. My brain works kind of in brainstorm mode rather than like advanced planning. I get inspiration from talking about the game, from playing through things, from playing other things. There's a lot that I really want to do with this, and there's a lot that still needs to be done. Eventually not only will day 2 be updated but extended, and when we are ready to extend it, we'll release the original demo part, like the revised demo part. Yeah. Publicly. So there's always something in various stages of development on different projects, and you've kind of got to as well, because if you were to, like, if you look at how long, say, the in-between is taking with everything that's happened through it, it's going to be like a 4-year project. And if there was nothing else kind of going along beside it, if it was that long for another project, you'd have like 4 years in between releases. So like there's always something that's staggered in the background to make sure that you don't have such a huge gap when releasing. And it's so cool to get to work with so many different artists, and I absolutely love Nee's work. He's fantastic. We do have another, as with the in-between, where we had a stretch goal for a 4th route, which was designed by our artist. Sadly we didn't get him, but he's still in the game. I'll get to meet him at the end of the common route. Hard Agency similar has a potential 4th route that will be included in a Kickstarter, and again that character has been designed by our game artist, and I think that's a really fun way to let our artists not only interpret what we're giving them for the art themselves, and it's amazing to be able to collaborate on that, give someone else putting their experience and skills to your ideas and making something incredible. Your ideas coming to life and being able to see them is so incredible and mind-blowing. Sounds fake to be able to do. So he'll be from another agency. There'll be lots of exciting things happening, and I for Hard Agency I do want to know what people want to see. So like if you're a fan of idle things or rhythm games or anything like that, I'd love some feedback on what you'd like to see in a game like Hard Agency. There's a few things that I know I want to hit, like attending a job with them, going to a carnival, beach episode, that kind of thing. So I'd love to know what people would love to see out of this game. It will help me make it a better game, and I'm excited to have gotten to show to share this with you, because this is only yeah yes, no, I really want to I think those tropes are kind of fun to be able to explore, and they're like popular tropes, and they exist a lot in a lot of things for a reason, because they are kind of staples and fun things to be able to that everyone kind of wants to put their own take on. And hell yeah, I want to see an episode of Hilo at the beach, or Ash forced into being a children's entertainer for a day at a carnival. So yeah, thank you for joining us on this week of streaming for the Yes, I have Ash in a mascot costume. I have some ideas on how to incorporate my beloved Catboys, and that comes in the form of a festival, or a carnival, a amusement park kind of thing, or a Halloween party or job or something like that. And I'm also excited for the potential of what other people could bring to the game in the terms of backer characters as well, because there's a lot of opportunity to be able to add things through the story there. So thank you for joining us. This has been, because it's only half of the demo that I have available at the moment, this has been only a 2-hour stream opposed to the 5-hour, 3.5 to 5 hours we've been doing. But do make sure to check out the Heart Agency is available to wishlist on Steam right now. Wishlisting helps us so much. It helps the game gain visibility, and helps put us in a better position whenever we do launch the game. If you want to see more of Heart Agency being developed in the background, check out some of the other CGs, the sprites. That's all on our Patreon. When I have the time, I will be updating it at more. Hopefully I'll have a little bit less pressure on me now that we've announced that that the In-Between is being published by 2.5 Studios, because we'll be able to get a writer and an editor, and that will take a lot of pressure off me trying to do it all on my own, because at the moment I am everything but art and music, and it's a lot. It really is a lot. But so that'll be good to be able to be able to hire someone to come in and help with that. Eventually, moving people on to other projects like Heart Agency as well. We also announced and released our new page yesterday for the DLC for Moonflower. We're releasing Phase Rest, which is a DLC that will follow up from the good ending and let Skylar and Ender explore what happens between them after the events of the Moon Fair and after the events of how the game ended. That's all I'll say there. But that's going to be really fun. We've got some gorgeous backer characters for that as well, which I'm excited to write and show their story as well. I really like backer characters. They're very interesting, and it's something that I wouldn't necessarily have been able to create myself, and then fitting them into the world is very rewarding and entertaining to do as a writer and a creator, and as a backer as well. Like, I got my start in game development really because I backed the Divine Speaker with backer characters, and I made Ilrin and Ash, and that kind of changed my life. So it's addictive, and it's so much fun getting to see things that you've made and collaborating with other people. Storytellers is still going, and there's a lot of great new games. This week we played A Date with Death, Moonflower, Amelie, The In-Between, Start Again, and now Heart Agency. And this has been a huge week for me because it's very rare that I record, let alone live stream. I think my last recording was the demo for A Date with Death in October, but before that I don't think I'd actually recorded anything properly in like gameplay since like over a year before that. So the channel is a bit of a ghost town sometimes, but it's not for lack of wanting to be here. It's just that I have very little time to do anything other than make my games, and I really want to get those games out for you guys. So let me know if there's anything else that you'd like to see me play, anything that's really caught your attention lately. Go and check out Storytellers. There's some new, as we've announced the oh my god, my brain just stopped working. As we've announced Phase Rest, my partner has also just announced her own game, The Last Rose, which is being published by 2.5 Studios as well. That's been in development for quite a long time, starting as a novel when she was a teenager. So it's incredibly exciting to see that coming to life now in the form of a visual novel. That's that's up on the Storytellers page as well, or you can find it via 2.5 Studios Steam account. And it's going to be amazing. There's just so many amazing things that I want you to check out, and I really want to know what you guys want to see me play or record, song covers or games. I don't often get to see what has come out, because I've got my nose in my own games. I miss a lot. So hit me with those recommendations. I'm on Twitter on Coco Le Covers, or you can join my Discord. All of that is linked below. And thank you so much for joining me. I will stop babbling now. We didn't get to finish any of the games that we streamed this week, so I will be completing those in the future. I'm not sure when, but I will get to them. And other stuff eventually. It's just all a very balancing act of time that I do not have a lot of. So thank you so much, and we've just been sitting here looking at Adrian. Sleepy boy. So yeah, I'm excited to continue doing more on Heart Agency and my other games, and I really hope that you enjoy them as well, and that you consider checking out the studio, following us. We're doing a lot, and even the smallest support of sharing our games on Twitter is a huge help for us, and we appreciate it so much. This song that's playing right now is what I will be recording to, and I'm super excited to actually get to that when it's cooler and I can actually put up more of my soundproofing, because at the moment I have 2 fans running, and I'm really hoping that the NVIDIA broadcast is actually cutting down some of that awful sound that the microphone picks up from them, because summer is hell. It is absolute hell, and I can't do anything when it's like 35 degrees and I can't even breathe because it's such a sauna. So hopefully when it gets cooler, I'll be able to. I'll have sorted out my lung problem and have a better environment to be able to record. And that will be on our Patreon and eventually in the form of new trailers and videos. So thank you so much for joining, and I hope you enjoy everything that we've had to offer. And I will see you eventually. Thank you. Bye-bye.